All right. Welcome. We're at the Rain Incubator studio right now, getting ready to sit down with my man, Bilori Howard, talk a little bit about some cryptocurrency here today. And this is going to be an ongoing thing, so we're really excited about it. Bilori, I want to thank you for being here today. We've connected in the community quite a bit. Really on a music tip for the first and foremost, very talented DJ. I was always getting down anytime the shoe were spinning at the end of the day.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, I mean, thank you for that introduction, man. But you're a very talented musician. So I've heard the piano riffs and it's undoubtedly, talented.
I appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. But well, let's hear a little bit more about you real quick. Let's talk about your background and kind of what were the things that kind of got you into or just started to think about where you're at now. But first of all, let's start with the makeup of you.
Okay.
Right.
So my name is Bilori Howard, of course. I was born in. I'm going to take it way back.
Go ahead.
So I was born in Kampala, Uganda. So my mom's Rwandan, my father's from the U.S., from Mississippi. And I was raised here in Tacoma, Washington. And, I've lived here all my life. So, I'm 52 now, so I've seen a lot. And I'm in the car business also, so I sell cars for a living.
Okay. You just had a deal today, you told me.
Yeah.
Did it close up?
Well, man.
Okay.
I finished it up yesterday. It was the last day of the month. I just had to go in and deliver it and everything.
Sure.
Obviously, we were going to start a little earlier,
Yeah.
but
Happens.
everyone, you can't control what other people are doing, but everything went well, so I can't complain.
Sure.
Great day. And then I think I got another couple deals lined up today before we started.
Okay.
So I've been in the car business for about 7 years.
Okay.
And the way I got into cryptocurrency, I think it was primarily when the pandemic hit, right? So when the pandemic hit, we got furloughed for 6 weeks.
Sure.
And just actually take a quick step back. So a couple years ago, I was looking for a way to make money, right? So a friend of mine approached me with and they were in a multi-level marketing company.
Sure.
And this is kind of just my evolution and where my mindset is now. It kind of started back then. So I kind of just changed the way I thought, and I was open to new things. So by getting involved in this multi-level marketing company, it kind of, I was like, there are other ways you can make money, right? Where you're not going to a traditional 9 to 5, just trading your hours for money, right? So
But that's what we want to do, right? That's we got to make an honest living, right? So you 9 to 5, man, 40 hours a week. That's where we at, right?
I don't know about that. I mean, I'd like to make an honest living, but at the same time, I'd like to be doing exactly what I want when I want, without the constraints of having to be at that job all the time. So if I wanted to maybe be able to give back in the community or start my own nonprofit organization or help, somebody in another country or just travel or get away.
Sure.
I think those were the things at the foremost of my mind. And I think as you get older, those things become more important, at least for me. So, and one of the biggest things about this company was they were very big into personal development,
Right.
And a lot of times you don't find a lot of that. I mean, they'll train you at work to be a better salesperson or be a better lawyer or be a better manager or whatever it may be. But a lot of times it's just to take that effort and plug it into your job, right?
Right.
Obviously, you can take some of those things and incorporate them into your life outside of work, but they don't really focus on that aspect of it as much. And I think one of the great things about this company I was in is they really push that to the forefront because they said you can't really get to the next level without changing the person you are today.
Sure.
Right? So I think by changing the person you are, you can, anything is possible to you because then your dreams are accessible because now you're not that person anymore. To sometimes to get to your dreams, you have to become a different person.
Sure.
Sure. So if you want, wealth or millions of dollars, you have to think like a millionaire and a wealthy person,
What was it? It was the Elton John movie. There was, and I can't remember for the life of me. I'm just gonna make up some names, right? So there was a musician that he was on tour with, right? And they were talking. The musician was the conversation they were having was about, stardom almost, like having because they're performers and whatnot,
Right.
And it was really crazy. He said that he had to kill his old self.
Yeah.
So, and he went by a completely different name now.
Right.
Name changes, however you feel about him, how it is. But it's just the mindset that you have to get into. Right. I think a lot of great innovators kind of have had to do that because you grew up one way, thinking one right. thing. And then, but I also like to look at it as like that's another whole part of you. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so it's not that you're killing yourself per se, because that's pretty morbid. But
but you're putting that person to sleep for a while, so you can go to work.
Yeah,
you know
exactly,
what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting that you brought that up.
Right.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the catalyst to me, kind of like always looking for opportunities and being open to other opportunities. And at that time, I also got rid of my TV. I think that went a long way because now my mind was more open to opportunities and I wasn't thinking the old way. Sure. It's like, okay, well, what are the trends going on? What's happening in society? What's the future look like? So, always thinking about positioning for the future now. So, to fast forward, pandemic hits, they furlough me for 6 weeks. I don't have TV. So I read, I said, hey, I'm going to just do my best to stay healthy, exercise, read, meditate, whatever, spend time with family if I could at a distance. And on YouTube, I ran into a video, a guy talking about technology, and he brought up cryptocurrency and a specific cryptocurrency, and it automatically got my attention because he was showing receipts, right? And these receipts basically are information from websites of government organizations, like the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank. Right. And the Treasury Department. You
just bringing me up. Well, his name again was?
It's called Crumb TV.
Crumb TV. Okay.
Crumb TV, right. He's kind of wild. So, I mean, he goes deep into a lot of topics that a lot of people probably aren't, going to resonate with. Sure. But they're very pro-black.
Right.
But at the same time, it's deciphering the truth from myth, and a lot of the information that we receive as I would say as consumers or citizens of this country is designed to have us focus on the things that they want us to focus on, so we remain consumers, right? Or we remain in a specific class or a specific mindset. So once I saw that video, and he was talking about XRP. I was like,
pay me
wow,
an XRP.
Yeah, pay me an XRP, right?
Can you get that?
Right. So I just started taking a deep dive in XRP and following the breadcrumbs. Okay, so I went to the Treasury Department's website and I saw all this thing where they're gonna say that every citizen of the United States is gonna have to have a digital wallet, right? And I was like, what's that all about? Digital wallet. Okay, so digital wallet associated with banking, the banking system, of course. And then, of course, the plan is to change the banking system to switch to digital currencies, right? Sure. So it was kind of interrelated.
It's already digital, right, at this point. So now it's like...
Yeah, now they're just making it official. Right. So they can flip the switch on you, you don't know what's happening. You just have to become a victim of whatever what they want to do. So, and that kind of led me down this road, I'd say, for the last maybe year and three months or so, maybe 2 months, of just studying cryptocurrency, trying to take in as much information as possible, and of course at the same time sharing that information with anyone that listen. First of all, my family, because if you, again, like I said, if you position yourself correctly now, you'll benefit from it later. So, which entailed, investing in specific cryptocurrencies that I believe are going to give me a good return on my investment.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's kind of how I got into cryptocurrency. And as time goes forward, there's so much information available, and it's such a nuanced, technology that there's a lot of information out there still that I'm in process of learning and learning new things every day. Yesterday I learned something new again, and I was just blown away because everything that I've seen for the last year is building to the information that, I saw yesterday, and I'm just like, wow, that's amazing. Interestingly enough, there are predictors. People have made predictions over the last year about where the technology is going, how the media is going to present it to people, who's going to step forward to say what about it. And clearly there's a lot out there that we don't understand or don't know why they're doing this, that, the other, what direction it's going in, and what's going to happen from day to day.
Sure.
But there are a lot of, clear indicators of what's going on if you're willing to, pursue them, listen, and then go back and do your own research.
Yeah. Well, that's what, I'll be quite honest with you. Going from my knowledge of crypto and blockchain, of all that stuff, I would say really you were probably the person to kind of kickstart me into actually like looking up a bunch of things, like what is, what exactly is ERC? What's an ERC token? What is a token? What are NFTs? What are smart contracts? What does all that do? So I'm finding out stuff like every day now, because there's something, there's always something new, and it's like, even just on the, like, what do you mean that you, like, if you purchase, if you have like a certain amount of tokens, now you can start creating these apps and stuff online and whatnot, and like you need that in order to create this online presence.
Yeah.
Everything from this to Web3, it's interesting, it's exciting. But the other thing is too, which I've also heard from you, is they will try to distract you with, everyone was on Dogecoin for a while. We were just talking about Shiba Inu and all these funny ones to make a joke out of it. But honestly, man, it seems like it's going to be the next pioneering phase of. Yeah. You have your industrial revolutions. You have your. So the first one is fire, right? Caveman. You got the wheel. We got the wheel going, and we're making cars, and you got the industrial revolution, and you got the printing press, and you got the .com boom. Yeah, we're due for something new. Yeah, right.
We are due for something new, and the lifespan of currency, I think, they say it's like, is it 300 years or 400 years for a currency?
I didn't know that. That's crazy.
And actually, I think it's less than that because, like the dollar, well, we came off the gold standard in, I think, 74 or 76. Nixon took the dollar off the gold standard, so it's only been, 50 years, if that? My math isn't the best, but you got, 2021 and 1976, so it's close to 50 years, right?
Yeah.
But then the dollar's not really, the dollar isn't backed by anything. The dollar isn't backed by anything.
So from that point, that's what happened. That's now the dollar from that point.
Yeah. So from then, let's say till now, it's been one big Ponzi scheme, right? Because you're basically printing dollars that aren't backed by anything. It's only backed by trust. So it's crazy. You're printing dollars, and a lot of the times what they're doing is they're printing those dollars and they're giving them to their friends in the corporations, and their friends in the corporations are taking them dollars and they're buying assets, right? Right. And at the same time, you're going to work and you're working for dollars and you're only getting so much money, so you don't really have the ability you have the ability to be somewhat upwardly mobile, but in this country we're so well off that even someone who's, making, let's say, $15 an hour, they can survive. Right. They're not going to be, well, they're probably homeless now, but they're probably not going to be homeless. They'll have clothes, they'll have food, they'll be able to go to the movies, they'll have a car. Right. So you'll think that you're doing really well. But at the same time, you're not really able to go from the class you're into another class if you just follow the same path that you're on. So, of course, they tell you to go to school and get a job, right? And that's my phone. No. They tell you to go to school, get a job, right? And, of course, when you go to school and get a job, you go into debt. Now you got to pay back that debt. So you have moved up, but you're still carrying all this debt with you. So have you really moved up? Now, you're kind of living on a higher tax bracket, but now you have more responsibility. So now that debt as a burden.
Yes.
And your home is a burden. Your bigger car is a burden. Now you're trying to fit in with your friends. That's another burden. So now you're living above your means. So have you really attained a level of freedom? So, but I think that's something that we could talk about going forward. How cryptocurrency is going to quote unquote level the playing field, not only for us in this country but globally.
Yes. Yes.
So
brings me to my next thing too, because so you again, so your family background, your mother's Ugandan.
my mother's Rwandan.
Rwandan.
And she was living in Uganda when my father met her. My father's from Mississippi.
Gotcha. How are they treating it out there? Like, because you're talking about, like, I'm reading the articles and it says, like,
Right.
Africa seems to be, to the point where, they're kicking banks out of actually even joining in on cryptocurrency. So they obviously think they're taking it as a big deal.
Right.
Right.
Right. Yeah, I think that one of the things about, like, the world powers, like the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank, and the people that really run the world are the people that run the banks, right? Because the banks are the ones that start the wars and fund the wars on both sides.
Sure.
And they control where society goes. So now they're pushing society in another direction, and that direction is under the guise of unbanking the unbanked. So we're talking about a lot of countries in Africa where a lot of people don't have access to the
Right.
banking system, which at the same time doesn't give them access to, let's say, loans, or the ability to be upwardly mobile. The education system is not as strong, which interestingly enough, in Rwanda, they got a really good education system because there are a lot of doctors and lawyers coming out of there.
Yeah.
But not every country in Africa is like that. But like, I can give you an example from when I was there. One of the ways I think they're maybe a couple steps ahead of us in using the technology. So we have all the technology here. We have the phones, we have the QR codes, we have the computers, we have the internet, we have the infrastructure.
Sure.
But we're using it more, I think, for entertainment. We're using it for entertainment and for a reason, because it's been given to us and with an overflow of entertainment.
Right.
Of course, you can have a business on your phone if you want.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh,
if you have the fortitude, and the will, and you take the time, you can create whatever you want in this country.
Yes.
But we have so many distractions, and those distractions surround us every day, and at times we don't even know that we're being manipulated by these distractions, and we're not maximizing the capabilities that are right in front of us.
Too many times.
So in these other countries where they don't have as many resources and they don't have as much entertainment, they're a little more focused, so the less you have, the more you want, obviously, right? Especially everyone wants to be like the United States.
Right.
So, you see enough Lambos and videos, women dancing and big houses, you're like, hey, how do I get there, It can't be that hard.
Yeah.
And
it's not.
Right. So when I was there in pre-coronavirus 2019, everyone has phones. And they also have kiosks all over. So I was in Uganda and Rwanda, and as you drive through the city, there are kiosks everywhere where you're able to load either minutes on your phone or you're able to load money on your phone. So they literally have banks all over, little banks all over, not only in the cities.
So you deposit your money.
Yeah.
It's like, and then it's just gone, and it's on your phone, and it's just chilling.
It's sitting there on your phone, right? Obviously, I'm sure these phone companies are still taking your money and doing what the banks here do and lending it out.
Oh, I'm sure.
Right.
That's probably what the banking system is out there.
Right.
That's interesting.
Right. Yeah. It's just like the banking system is here.
Yeah.
Just like if there was a run on cash at the bank, everybody had to go to the bank to get their cash out.
Yeah.
They're not going to have enough to pay everyone.
Right.
So they're not only just in the cities, but you go out in the rural areas, between the cities, you're running into people with those same kiosks.
Yeah.
So you can put your money on the phone. Interestingly enough, I was staying with my cousin, and I had some cash on me. I took some cash out because I wanted to have it.
Sure.
And it was in American dollars, and they use francs there, Rwandan francs. And somewhere other, one of the persons that works at the house, at my cousin's house, one of the housekeepers, got a hold of the money. To make a long story short, we were able to track it down eventually, and the individual had the money on his device. So he had two phones. One had a small amount of it. The other one had a large amount. So it was probably like $600 American, which is a lot of money there, if you do the currency transfer. So they definitely are ahead of us because they do use their devices for most banking purposes. Obviously, they do have the bigger banks too, where you can go in and get your money and get your loan or whatever. But the majority of the people do everything on their devices, which I think would be an easier transition for them into using crypto, because crypto is basically just digits on a ledger, right?
Yeah.
So you don't have to change anything mentally because you're not really using paper. You can just send the money right to their device, right? And then all they have to do is scan a QR code to make payments. So and then at the same time, if they have access to the blockchain technology will give everyone the same access to money, right? So then you'll be able to, we here, if we wanted to loan someone in another country money, we could send them a QR code, or we could write a smart contract, and we'll get into that.
Yeah. Yes.
Get a smart contract, and that since that smart contract itself executable, whatever service we want for them, or maybe we want some art or whatever it may be. Once we get it, the money settles automatically into their account without anyone in between, without us having to use one of those services to send money, and then maybe. And
having an actual human look at it too at that point, which is isn't that what you take the human aspect out of it, because then you're getting rid of the error, and now it just runs automatically. Yeah,
exactly.
At that point.
There's no what's the word I'm looking for? A lot of times when you send money cross borders, you have it doesn't go through. There's a failure rate using the current system. So right now the system that we use is a SWIFT system. So even if you go to one of those services to send money, they're still using SWIFT to send the money cross borders. So
SWIFT, like the Apple programming language? Is that what
no, it's not SWIFT. It's the global payment system.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
It's SWIFT, and it's been around for a long time. It's the same system that they use to sanction countries. So the U.S., since the U.S. has the reserve currency, we also have control over the SWIFT system. So let's say if Russia, if we're unhappy with Russia, when they attack Crimea, we can say, hey, we're going to sanction you. Since all the countries in the world use the SWIFT system to send money across borders, if you can't access the SWIFT system, how are you going to send billions of dollars unless you put it on a boat and ship it over there, right? And, the SWIFT system is sending trillions of dollars daily, right?
Nuts.
The new system that they're coming up with, not to get off topic, is going to enable you to do the same thing without any intermediaries, no banks. It'll be instant settlement. So XRP, for example, is for cross.
I need that.
If you think about it, cross-border payments. That's what I think it is. I mean, that's when I look at it, that's what I see. Because that's what it does. It was designed to replace the SWIFT system. So that's one of the reasons why I'm bullish on XRP, because I understand what it was created to do. Is created to fix a problem. That's the cross-border payments problem. So, but back to Africa.
Strobe effect.
Back to Africa. That's one of the things I noticed is technology. They're a little step ahead of us in terms of the banking aspect of it, but the infrastructure isn't there.
Right.
The infrastructure.
The lack. I was talking to someone. It's like the lack of infrastructure is the reason why it's so easy for them to switch over.
Yeah.
Because we're already in the mode of, we done gone from the gold standard now to the gold standard, and we've been doing that for all these years. Things are in place. It's the same thing too with not to get off topic, but with energy over there. Apparently, from what I understand, because they're going straight to apparently laying their cables underground as opposed to like having them out exposed like we do over here. It just makes that much more sense. You're not going to have You're not going to have trees to like knock down, all that type of stuff when there's exposed wire. So
you're seeing the flaws in the system here.
Yes.
And how it's harder to update.
Yes.
And you're building on it. Yeah, and that's one of the crazy things too with the infrastructure. So, and I guess this all ties together too, because to have that system work on the blockchain, you have to create the infrastructure. And so, for example, you have SpaceX. So Elon Musk is launching all those rockets. Elon Musk. You're like, who the hell is that? Who knows Elon?
Shout out to
launching,
Elon.
Yeah. So he's launching all those rockets into space, right? And they're putting satellites, low orbit satellites.
That's fire. I've heard about that.
It's
so sick.
Not Singularity Net, because that's the company where they're putting in low orbit satellites for internet. So they're going to bring internet to the globe. It'll be a global network system that's also going to be a blockchain system built on that, which may be one other reason to have Space Force, because you got to protect it. You can't
Space Force.
You can't hack a blockchain system unless you can get up into space, right? Because it's not going to be on the ground level.
No.
The blockchain system isn't going to be. Now, maybe some of the infrastructure for it will, but the blockchain itself is not going to be on the ground level. So that's how they're going to be able to get high-speed internet to the globe, right? So now you can take people in poverty areas, you give them high-speed internet. Now the sky's the limit. So we're literally talking like Wakanda in countries in Africa that didn't exist. So
that's wild.
Yeah. So it's almost like
wild.
It's almost like Wakanda is a predictive programming for the future. Because any movie you see or television show you see that's placed in the future is not a fantasy. It's a future reality being presented to you before it happens.
I say all the time. I think movies are in place for concept design. Right. So it's like whenever you see, call it conspiracy, call it whatever you want, but usually if it's in a movie, it's probably made. Someone's probably got it, or if not, they're working on it or something like that. And we've seen it time and time again with. We're about to have self-driving cars. Right.
To your point, there was this movie with Sylvester Stallone into it and Sandra Bullock, where he was a police officer that got put cryogenically to sleep because he broke a law, and then he woke up like 50 years later.
Right.
They had self-driving cars.
Yeah.
Okay, so back then, before the movie came out, were people thinking about self-driving cars? Maybe they thought about it, but as a society, were they thinking about it? Maybe far into the future, but then again, here they are now, doing exactly what they said that was going to happen. So, like you said, you can call it a conspiracy theory, but if it becomes reality, then is it a conspiracy theory?
No, not at all.
I don't think so.
Shout out to Black Mirror.
And the Black Swan event that should be coming along any time to move us to the next step. We'll see, though.
Exactly.
That should be interesting.
That's crazy. So we're talking about blockchain. We're talking. So I guess even further, your point even further on just having digital money on your phone.
Yeah.
It seems like we're slowly in America coming to it because you got the politics coming along and you have everyone who seems to be trying to get you out of it because of this, that, and the other, because they want to make money on it and see how it goes, and you have people. But in Spanaway, down the road, and we were just privy to it. I just told you about it.
Tell
right?
me about that. I was shocked.
Yeah, crypto ATMs, and it was told to me. I got to verify the source and look at it into myself. But you can throw loose change in there, convert it to crypto, right? And there's multiple. There's different cryptos on there. So assuming that there's at least going to be blockchain and also an ERC, which are the two big ones right now.
Right.
But as other ones come along,
Right.
I can kind of foresee people doing like putting a kitty away for when this stuff really blows up and we're switching 100% over to something like this.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I think so. The fact that they're there, and it's interesting to me that they're starting in Spanaway and moving into the city.
That's just what we heard about it. Maybe there are other places already.
Maybe there are. Maybe there were some out before, but we didn't see them and they disappeared. I know in other countries, like in I can't remember what country in like South America where they use Dash crypto, but they have kiosks everywhere. I can't remember what country.
Is it El Salvador?
It might be. It might be El Salvador because I know
they just switched over to be able to accept full crypto.
Yeah.
Like for payment for anything.
I think they tried to.
Yeah.
But the IMF shut them down. They said no because of the volatility of Bitcoin. Because since Bitcoin is so volatile,
right.
They wanted to use it as their reserve currency.
Right.
Which makes sense if your country's struggling and you want to get away from the petrodollar, right? Because you have to change everything over to dollars to buy anything, and the dollar's quickly collapsing. Yeah, but what I heard was the IMF came in and said no, and they said because of the concerns of the volatility concerns and also the money laundering and the crime aspect of Bitcoin, because it doesn't give them enough control because it would free them. But if Bitcoin collapses, then their economy collapses too at the same time.
Sure.
So maybe it's a good move, but is it the beginning, right? Because you usually have to have somebody go out on a ledge and say, hey, we're converting it to this. Okay, maybe you can't, but hey, maybe there's a better cryptocurrency.
Right.
That's backed by something that all the powers that be, because you're not going to be able to step away from the global powers and do your own thing. You just won't, because they'll bring the bombs out.
Yeah.
They'll bring the tanks out. Because you can't be free.
Yeah.
You have to play well with everyone, or you have to pick a side.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And the interesting thing about that is they have the Brics Nations, which is Brazil, Russia, China, and another one, Brics Nations. They actually had formed they had unified to say we're going to get away from the petrodollar. This was probably sometime this year. They had them all lined up and they're all holding hands talking about, hey, we're moving away from the dollar, right? So you could see it happening. It's coming.
China
and Russia.
China.
Right.
That's crazy.
Right. And
those are the two that you have to get.
They're the main antagonists too.
Yeah.
China, Russia, but at the same time, they're building a trade route called the Silk Road. China's building the Silk Road trade route, circumventing the United States from it, right? So, yeah, it's crazy. It's interesting because all that stuff is intertwined because it's all global economics, right?
Yeah, man.
And the currency is the catalyst for all the problems. Of course, the resources too, but the currency, since the United States controls the currency, everyone's sick of it. They're sick of it. The United States just, you can't be the big dog, and if you are the big dog, you're always going to have people coming after you.
Oh,
and
sure.
And since our country is showing weakness right now, because
There's cracks in the infrastructure. And mind you, we're also a lot younger than a lot of these nations that we're talking about too.
Right.
So this is probably our time period of adolescence where we're saying, okay, we're gonna start policing, doing that. And some people are like, no.
Yeah, we're done.
Yeah.
Okay, you do have all the weapons, but at the same time, if all the other countries get together against you,
Yeah.
okay, so what are we gonna do? We're gonna bomb everybody?
Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah.
I mean, you're just, at some point, it has to end. So, and the writing's on the wall that this is the end of the U.S. as the world power. Now, it may not appear that way because it won't be a war. It won't be a physical war.
Right.
It's more an economic war.
Right.
You know,
Right.
so if you have the Silk Road and you have all these other countries that you're going to share resources with, then at some point you're just going to have to bow out gracefully. But I think, you know,
To say the least.
yeah, and I think, you know, from some of the people that are hard into crypto say this is the way to stop World War III, is to level the playing field with cryptocurrency. Now, you eliminate the old system, and then you allow everyone to prosper, because blockchain technology is going to make everything transparent. Everyone will be able to see everyone else's transactions. You know, of course, there'll be a layer that you don't see.
Oh, of course.
But governments will be able to trust, because it's a trustless system, because the trust is built into the system.
Yeah.
Right? So you can't cheat.
Yeah. That's great for, I mean, outside of just, I mean, obviously with the crypto, of course, you know, the currency and whatnot too, and the money and whatnot. But later on down the road, I mean, I talked to David, who's the CEO here, right? And it's like, well, when a company from Massachusetts, we order something from them, right? And this is a lab, so things, especially if you're transporting a vaccine. Let's just say it's vaccines from Massachusetts or whatever. They got to be stored at a certain temperature. And if they break temperature, then sometimes it's no good. And we just put that vaccine into an arm. It was a dead vaccine. That does nobody any good at that point, right? But if along the way, and what blockchain will allow you to do is read certain things of, hey, like it's starting to get above this threshold.
Right.
Like we can't, you're not going to be able to use this, right? Well, I don't really care what the company has to say about how it was stored, if it was doing the right thing or whatnot or whatever. I'm looking at the blockchain.
Looking at the facts.
I'm looking at the thing. Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Somewhere along that line, it says this.
Right.
And a trustless system. Again, let's go. I'm going with what that says. Right. I can see it being used for elections in the coming up years when people are talking about voter conspiracy or voting. I can't remember the name.
Voter suppression. Voting
suppression, exactly.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about that, you know, and I'm one of those people where I'm like, what is voting get? What is that getting me? I don't even know if it's actually going to the party I wanted to go to. I'm that guy.
Is it gonna fix my neighborhood?
That's what I'm saying. Exactly.
Is my elected official on the up and up?
That's what I'm saying.
Paid for by someone else. Who's donating to his campaign?
Exactly.
Right. So I hope it fixes everything, but you know, it always seems like there's a layer that we're not privy to. You know, even in a trustless system, you know, will we be privy to that layer, or will that layer be an illusion too?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But if it's interesting because it's interesting you brought that topic, because I was listening to something today when they were talking about smart contracts too, that are immutable. No, they were talking about governance. Yeah, because governance is built into the smart contracts too, right? And then they said, if the governance is built into the smart contract, is there a need for a lawyer? If the governance is built into the smart contract, what's the need for a governor?
I was just talking about, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, if that's the case, and we're going to live in a different society, and the governance is built into the smart contracts, and the taxes are built into the smart contracts, into the blockchain system, how the roads are laid out, policing, you know, school, if everything's built that way, Oh, it's kind of scary.
It is. It's a little because now we're
It's like
talking
really-
about surveillance.
Yeah,
and,
now
like,
we're in China now.
Yeah, it's very.
Just reading your eyes, like, is that Bilori?
Yeah.
Come on in.
Yeah. It is kind of. It's very. I mean, I've gotten into that thing too. It's like,
Right.
well, with blockchain, is it the end of me even having to converse with you to make sure anything's cool? You know, like, am I taking your word at all? You know,
Wow.
like my fellow man. So I mean,
Right.
that just things that we have to develop as people, because there's got to be that. I think I think technology is cool, but I think also too sometimes it doesn't. It takes away, in some forms, it takes away some humanity. Now there's obviously a threshold.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the threshold is, but there's something in there that needs to be where you still have a little bit of human error involved. This is all the stuff that we like, man. You know.
I heard something, and I didn't listen to what he said. And you know, it's that one dude his name starts with an F and ends with an E. Fauci.
That's an I, but
it sounds like E though.
Yeah, exactly,
That's what
exactly.
I meant.
Yep.
But I heard him say that there's going to be two types of world. There's two types of Americas: a vaccinated and an unvaccinated.
Right.
Right. And I think when they're engineering the society, and you know, this is obviously a theory, because you know, I hear something and I connect to the dot with something I heard before. You know, especially when you see society going in a specific direction and they start saying things. Okay, watch what they do, not what they say, but usually what they're doing is followed by what they say, you know, and they've already done things and they're kind of piggybacking off each other. So if you said there's going to be two societies, a vaccinated and unvaccinated, you're almost saying there's people that are in the loop and people that are out of the loop, right? So there are people that are 100% bought into the system, and then there's the people that don't want to participate in the system.
Right.
Of course, they become pariahs to a certain degree.
Right.
Right, because they don't want you in the system because you don't trust in the system. You're not willing to give up all of your freedom.
Yes.
To be a part of it. So maybe you want to go live in the outskirts of the city, you know, on a farm somewhere, because you don't want to be connected into. Maybe you don't want internet. Maybe you just want to have a farm, some horses and some cows, and live a different lifestyle, right? But when you go to the store, you're still going to have, you know, the supply chains are going to be like, who are you? Where's your QR code? So maybe you'll have to have a network of people where you grow your own food, you grow your own cattle, you know, you don't live in the big cities. And, you know, are we talking 20 years or are we talking 100 before it's like that?
That's already now. That's
You know?
happening in some places now.
So there is a way to not play, but are you going to be able to not play in Tacoma or Seattle or San Francisco or these big cities that they want that are eventually going to be smart cities? And I don't know, as more condos are built around you, are they making those condos more accessible to this technology? You know, because why would you build old tech going into a new system? You know what I'm saying? So
if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's why. That's what they say. I hate it, but it's true.
Right. But it's definitely a very interesting conversation because all that stuff's related in some way or other, you know, as we move forward. But yeah, it's just interesting to hear people say certain things where you're just like, really, are we continuously trying to separate people and divide people? Because that's all I hear is division. They're always dividing people and making you pick a side.
For sure.
You know, so when you go outside and you're with your neighbor and they're like, well, are you vaccinated or whatever it may be. Do you have a QR code? Yeah. How come there's no QR code on your home? Are you some kind of non-believer?
No, I just chose not to be I just chose not to conform on this. Every day we wake up, man, it was like every day is a contract. It's like what are we gonna do? What am I doing today? You know what I'm saying? Like you go buy some food, you're signing a contract for a receipt or whatever.
You're right.
You're fine. there's always, so either you're going to buy into something or you're not going to buy into it, and that's just where it stands.
Right.
But I think the cool part about it is where you can get really good information is from both sides, right? It's like, well, why did you choose? And someone actually hearing it out. Well, why did you choose not to blase, blase, blah? Cool, got it. Why did you choose to blase, blase, blah? Right?
Right.
And somewhere in the middle in there's some truth.
Right. Yeah. I totally agree with that.
Democratic, all of that stuff, man. It's crazy.
Right.
But I think that's that's probably a good stopping point for us right now, because that's what we're trying to do is figure out. Well, this conversation seems like, number one, it shows that crypto is not just some ethereal thing that's out there, and it's not just Doge, and it's not just Bitcoin, it's not just Ethereum, right? There's a bunch of these things that are happening as we speak. It's happening in our lifetime.
Right.
The change is coming.
Right.
And it's happening now, and this is kind of like a good time to start getting into it, you would say, right?
Yeah. I totally agree. And, just piggyback off what you said, I don't believe it's, I think those cryptocurrencies were the first there.
Yeah.
With the technology, to introduce it to everybody. And there are others out there that are better, and they solve other problems. And it's great that we have this platform. I appreciate you inviting me here.
I'm glad you came, man. This is awesome.
I'm looking forward to going deeper and, sharing as much of this information that we both run into with, anybody's willing to listen, because I think as a community and a society, we can all benefit if we're open and we're ready to build something using the information that we're given that we're not supposed to get.
You would say, and they hide it. Sometimes they hide it in plain sight.
Right.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, right there for you to see it if you're not looking. But if you're too busy watching 13 episodes of whatever it is on Netflix, you might miss it.
Man, I can't remember. What's the last thing I watched on Netflix?
Right.
Yasuke. It's that black anime. Was it off the whole time?
No, just
Oh, okay. Well, that's good, because we're going to end it now. But But no, again, bro, thanks again for coming through.
My pleasure.
And we're going to continue this thing on, man. It's going to be, I think it's going to be a good revolution for Tacoma, especially.
I agree.
Yes,
I'm looking forward to it. Thanks, brother.
All day.
Yeah.
All day.
All right.
Oh, it just turned off too? Dang.
It was at like 51 minutes, and it's at like 54 right now.
Stop the recording.
Yeah, my phone was still rolling, so I should have picked up what you said.
Oh,
Or like everything he said, but my angle's kind of trash, and you're not in this one, so.
that's fine.
No worries.